now. So we have a recording of this for those who are not able to attend today. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I think you can. Yes, everyone okay? That's great. Thank you. So just to say a little bit about why studying mediation is really important at this time, and why looking at international commercial mediation in particular. As many of you will know, mediation has become an incredibly common way of resolving different forms of disputes across many different jurisdictions and in different dispute areas. And we've seen this in the UK, for example, where this programme is located, across continental Europe, in Southeast Asia, across India, the Far East, a range of different jurisdictions are seeing significant developments in mediation. And it's impacting upon the lives of lawyers and many other professionals who are going to encounter this form of dispute resolution in practice. And we're seeing lots of new mediation laws, new regulatory attempts in the field, and lots of innovation in practice, and lots of promotion of mediation practice by governments, by policymakers, by courts. So it's a really, really exciting time to be involved in mediation at this stage. So this programme, I think, really chimes with that.
Just to come in there with that, Bryan, and to illustrate I think the demand of is going to come up in different regions around the world. Just looking at some of the projects you've got, energy transition disputes are going to be increasingly requiring mediation and dispute professionals, renewable sectors. I'm just giving one example of a mega real estate project that's taking place in the Gulf states. I think since 2020, over $1 trillion of investment has gone into 30 mega real estate projects. There's going to be a huge demand for dispute management, dispute resolution, and fast and efficient dispute resolution. So I think mediation, we're going to see right around the world being in demand.
Okay, thanks, Sal. That's really, really useful. Thank you. So why would you study? The next question is, why would you study at Newcastle University Law School, where the programme is located? Well, Newcastle University is a leading Russell Group university in the UK, one of the research-led universities in the UK with a great international reputation. And I think in particular in the area of dispute resolution, mediation, ADR, we're really developing a real significant reputation in the field as a leading law school in terms of our teaching, this programme, undergraduate teaching, and we've got a number of PhD students in the field as well, and the research and consultancy activity that members of the school conduct in this area. So it's a really exciting time, I think, to be involved in the school in terms of the activity in the mediation dispute resolution field. So I'm now going to move on to the what question. So what fundamentally is this course about in different ways? And I'm going to pass on to Alad, who's going to begin this section of the presentation. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Bryan. Well, you've got quite a few options here. First of all, it's a fully immersive online program, which means you can study from anywhere, literally anywhere in the world, providing you have an internet connection. The benefits of that means, you don't have any relocation costs. It means you don't have to deal with or encounter any issues with visa or any such administrative problems that you might ordinarily come up against. And secondly, it's full-time or part-time. So if you want to immerse yourself, you can do it full-time over 1 year, or if you're in a full-time job, training contract, or have other commitments ongoing, you can spread your studies over 2 years and study in and around your current commitments, as you'll hear from some of the current students are doing that alongside a full-time job. So lots of different options. We'll dive into that in a bit more detail shortly.
Thank you, Anand. And hi, everybody. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping in advance. We do, as Bryan has said, have plenty of time for questions at the end. If you have any that are burning a hole in your pocket, please put them in the chat box, and we will, and then you'll get priority to have them answered, and we will go through them at the end of the session. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of aspects of the program. First of all, the qualification. So the program will result in a full LLM Law Master's qualification, which is UK level 7, European level 9, I think, and goodness knows what other levels in different countries, but it's a full master's. And the program is also unusual in that you, provided you pass all your assessments, including the practical one, will be able to attain International Mediation Institute qualified mediator status. So we, it took a while, and there a lot of work went into it, but we managed to get IMI certification for the program. And that means that once you attain the practical qualification, having passed the practical assessment, that you are entitled to register as an IMI qualified mediator. That is an internationally recognized mediation standard, and even as of recently will allow you to register with the Civil Mediation Council if you end up practicing in the United Kingdom. So it's very much, and it's sort of these two qualifications really indicate how the program is focused. It is a program that focuses both on the theory and the practice of mediation and dispute resolution. And one of the ways in which we do this is that our faculty, alongside the faculty from the University of Newcastle, you're meeting this evening, we also have a panel of international expert practitioners who you will encounter in the online lessons along the way. Some of them are academics, most of them are practicing mediators with decades of experience in a range of different areas, different parts of the world, and they really are bringing the practical real life spin on mediation practice and mediation theory to the program. So we're really delighted that we have them on the program. I'm going to pass back quickly now to Bryan and Aled in relation to the other burning question I'm sure a lot of you have, which is around the fees and the funding. And then we'll come back and go into a little bit more detail on the program and how it is structured.
Okay, thanks, Sabine, for that. Thank you very much. So the fees for the programme, so given it's a full master's from Newcastle University, the fees are set in accordance with what you'd expect in that regard. For 1 year, full-time, the fee is £14,000 for the year. Unlike our campus-based modules, there is no difference between the home fee and the overseas fee. So overseas students don't pay a much higher fee to attend this program. There's a flat fee for absolutely everyone. If you decide to do the program over 2 years, you would pay £7,000 in each of those 2 years. And we did hold the fee from last year. There's been no inflationary rise in the fee this year, which I think is a really positive thing, particularly given how high inflation has been in the UK currently. Students can pay by instalments, so international students can pay in 2 instalments over the year, so either that's for the full-time amount or each part-time amount. And home students have more flexibility in that regard and can make payment over 6 instalments. Early payment does allow for a small overall reduction in the fee. If a student pays the full amount prior to commencing the course, there's a 2% discount at that stage. Obviously, the fees may still be quite significant for some of the students hoping to study on the course. So there are scholarships that we offer to help alleviate some of that financial ask. And I was going to say a bit more about the scholarships now.
Thank you, Bryan. Yeah, we're really excited about the scholarships that we're able to offer this year. There are 7 scholarships in total. 2 of the scholarships, each of £4,000, and 5 additional scholarships up to £2,000 each. The two £4,000 scholarships are special scholarships to honour the contribution of one of the great mediators here in the UK, the late, great David Richbell, who made a huge contribution to moving the field forward, not just in the UK, but internationally. So those are the two David Richbell scholarships, and the other 5 scholarships, each for £2,000, are supported by the university. We'll talk briefly a little bit later on about how you apply for those scholarships, but essentially the important thing to remember, in order to apply for a scholarship, you have to first apply for the program itself. Last year, we had a huge influx of applications for scholarships from people, which is fantastic, before they'd actually applied for the program, and that was very difficult to manage. So first, apply for the program, then apply for the scholarship. And we'll talk about deadlines and timelines a little bit later on. Thank you, Bryan.
Okay, so now we'll say a little bit about some of the classes that you'll study in the program itself. There are 6 classes plus a dissertation that I'll say a bit more about later. I'll get Miriam to talk about the first class, which is dispute resolution and conflict studies, and Miriam leads this class.
Thank you. So dispute resolution and conflict studies. So as the name might suggest, so you have first an introduction to ADR. So yes, the master's mainly focuses on mediation, but it's also important to understand what other ADR processes exist. And then we also have, and the other part of the class is about conflict studies. So what is a conflict? How do you analyze a conflict, the psychology of conflict, so that you have all the tools basically to then understand conflict and also bring that into your practice of mediation.
Okay, thank you very much, Miriam, for that. So the next class, which is the other class you would do in the course immediately in semester 1, is mediation and practice. Mediation practice and skills. And as you might expect, this is primarily a skills-based module that has within it elements of learning about theory and developing reflective practice. But a lot of time is spent helping you develop the key skills and attributes of mediators. This class forms the primary basis of the assessment and the professional IMI mediation assessment as well. And of course, it takes you through all the stages of mediation, from pre-mediation right through to settlements and the writing up of settlements and the paperwork required in mediation, the different aspects. So that's a fairly sort of full-on, very engaging module. And I think it's quite nice to have that practical module running alongside the theoretical module that Miriam runs, and you take those modules concurrently. The other module that you'll take part in semester 1 is research, theory, and method. And this is a class taken by all master's students within the school. I think this year there was about 120 master's students in the school. There may be slightly more next year. And this class is designed to equip you with skills in legal research, legal writing, legal methods, because many students may not have a legal background, or may have been out of legal study or university study for many years. And it's very good to get this baseline fundamental set of tools to allow you to study and research law. And also importantly, it also allows you to develop a proposal which will form the basis of your dissertation. And I'll say a bit about your dissertation just at the very end of this. So the next class, and again a class that I'm running, is mediation theory. And this class really looks at some of the core theoretical issues in mediation practice, including self-determination, neutrality, impartiality, the limits of confidentiality within the mediation process. And there's a great amount of linkages here between the theory you're learning here and the practice you've already developed in the class previously, and some students in the course this year are already experienced mediation practitioners, and it's great for them to reflect on their practice in this way and link together theory and practice. We also spend some time looking at negotiation, theory and practice, obviously a vital area, a very important tool for all professionals to learn, including lawyers, in their lives, and how negotiation links in with the practice of mediation. The next class, again, a class that I am responsible for running, is mediation law. And here we're looking at some of the legal frameworks that apply to mediation, both in the context of the UK, also looking at many other jurisdictions across Europe, other common law jurisdictions, other jurisdictions across the globe, and also looking at international frameworks. And so, for example, we'd look at how the mediation activity is regulated in different jurisdictions, how people are brought into mediation, the interaction between mediation and the courts, certain very important process elements of mediation, such as confidentiality, the enforceability of mediation settlements, how the law and regulation applies to those different areas. So quite a significant amount of legal and policy analysis in that class. I'll pass you back to Miriam, who's responsible for the last class you see on your list here, technology and ODR.
Thank you. So in technology and ODR, so of course we're going to mention technology, especially because after the pandemic and because of the pandemic, we have relied quite a lot on technology due to the lockdown and restrictions. So we are going to, of course, address online mediations. That's going to be a big chunk of the course, and that's going to be quite nice because you will have practiced online mediation in your mediation practice and skills class in the first term, the first semester. So online mediation is one big chunk of the course, but we are also going to consider online arbitration, online courts, and also ODR platforms. So for consumer disputes, for example, or other types of disputes, small claims, and so on. So ODR platforms, so how do you govern these platforms? We have the Civil Resolution Tribunal also in Canada. So we're going to focus on all of that. And also we're going to bring some systemic concerns. So technology and access to justice, technology and climate change, and so that you have a brief and a broad actually overview of the different concerns that may arise because of the increased use of technologies that we've seen in the last couple of years. Yes.
Cool. Thank you, Miriam and Bryan. Excellent. And so as you might have gathered, you know, this program, it's a very topical program. It, you know, it's been really exciting to work on developing this because we've really been able to bring mediation and dispute resolution, you know, into the 21st century, and we've addressed a lot of new aspects around, for example, technology, investor-state mediation, and the areas where the discipline is developing most rapidly. So turning then to how you're going to study. And I suppose the first thing to say about this program is that it's kind of different to a traditional master's program where you get on your bicycle or your bus and go into university every day. So there are different modes of learning on this. The backbone, I suppose, of the program is built on asynchronous online lessons. And what this means, and you'll see a little demo now in a minute of what a lesson looks like. What this means is that essentially you can study the lessons in your own time when suits you, because number one, you might be working or doing other things alongside. And of course, you're probably all going to be in different time zones. So we don't want people having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning too often in order to do their studying, unless, of course, you're a morning person, in which case, good on you. So I'll show you what these online asynchronous lessons look like in a minute. And the rest of the slide has just disappeared, but never mind. And then after that, you have live online tutorials as well, which will be scheduled in such a way as to make sure you can all actually get up for them. And this will also allow you to work with your fellow students and of course with the faculty directly. And I think, and hopefully our current students will mention this later on, that they have enjoyed that very much. And at a program of this level, you learn as much from your peers in many ways as you do from the faculty, because particularly because everyone will have their own experience from their own jurisdictions, and then you get to share these in tutorials and also in live online skills practice, such as role plays and various practical exercises. To supplement that, then you obviously have access to your university faculty, and Bryan will talk shortly about what is available there in terms of drop-in sessions and tutor support and other sessions. So now you can stop sharing, and I'm going to very briefly show you what an online lesson looks like. Now, this is a very shortened version of a lesson. By and large, lessons should take you around about an hour to complete. That's not including reading the articles and the resources. It depends, obviously, in what kind of chunks you do that and how long it takes you to do those. Okay, but this is what it looks like. Your lesson will open in the university's learning management system, which is Canvas. And I'm just going to play this little video so that I can only focus on talking and not on talking and clicking at the same time. So every lesson will set out what you're going to be studying in terms of its learning outcomes. And this can be everything from theory to practice. This particular lesson talks about the brain and conflict and some of the aspects of neuroscience that impact on conflict. You won't be able to just sit back and watch videos. You'll see here you will have to click on various things and interact with the content in order to really engage with it. Then we have our expert faculty. This is Professor Simon Nightingale, a neuroscientist with a particular interest in conflict, and you'll see you have short video clips interspersed throughout the lessons from our experts. You will also have access, of course, to the library and links to articles and various other resources, and then some exercises to do to make sure that you have grasped what the resources say. Here's a little exercise where you have to drag words into different places. And bear in mind, these are for your own learning. And if you get them wrong, that's not a problem. You can go back and do them again, and you'll always get some feedback. Again, you'll see here, you might have to get through different things. We look at every topic from a lot of different angles, and you really do need to stay engaged in the course. Here's another one of our videos. This is Professor Nadia Alexander. You will be reading a lot of her work as well. And here she is talking about the neuroscience of conflict. You'll notice also that the videos are quite short. And we've got the famous quiz every now and then, just to make sure that you're on top of everything and to flag any areas that you might be slightly unsure of. You can do these as many times as you want, just to make sure that you're staying on top of your learning. We might also have some sections where you need to complete some written exercises like this, for example, directly in the platform. And you don't need to worry about these disappearing into the ether afterwards, because whenever you write something in like this, you will then have the opportunity to save it, and to either save it to wherever you're saving your other documents or to print it out. And sometimes we'll get you to do this, as these things will be discussed then in the live sessions. So that's a really super quick overview of what an asynchronous lesson might look like. So I'm going to click out of that and hand back over to Alan now, who is going to go into a little bit more depth and tell you a bit about some of the ways in which you might learn skills online. Back to you, Alan.
Thank you, Sabina. And here's a video I recorded earlier to illustrate how, or just one of the ways actually, that you'll be learning skills online. So I'm going to share my screen, turn the volume up, and invite your attention for just 2 minutes.
A question we often get asked is, how will I learn skills online? Our programs are specifically designed to maximize your acquisition of skills. And one feature of our learning design is the use of educational video. Now, we use video in a number of different ways, and designing effective and engaging educational video takes quite a lot of science and a little bit of Hollywood. We use case study simulations to enable you to experience a dispute as it unfolds through all the different stages. From the initial client and counsel meetings to without prejudice negotiations, into the mediation itself, and right through to the agreement stage. You get to learn about the impact of the different stages of the process on all participants involved in the dispute, from the lawyers to their clients and the mediator, him or herself, through intimate video journals. You also get to see skills in action, not just once, but as many times as you want, so that when it comes to the live sessions, you get to practice them with your peers, and of course, get real-time insight and analysis from a range of leading international experts, not to mention, of course, the all-important feedback and coaching that you'll receive. That is just one way you'll be learning skills online.
There we have it. Bryan, over to you.
I didn't know you were going to use that video there, Al. Me sitting down in that chair, but no, thank you very much, Al, for that. So yeah, I think that's been a really good illustration of the way in which, the primary way in which learners develop their skills in this particular program. But as Sabine said, there are also quite a number of live online sessions as well, where you come together with faculty and your peers in live seminars and practice sessions as well. And over the first semester doing the mediation and practice class, this cohort, we actually ended up doing quite a lot of extra skills sessions. So there are optional additional skills and practice sessions beyond the scheduled ones for students. And it's a great way for them to come together and create some form of community and learn from each other as well. So there'll be a great chance to do that. Also drop-ins, regular drop-ins with Miriam and I to talk about any aspect of learning in the course or other issues which you want us to address. All students are allocated a personal tutor within the university to look after their needs. And usually, again, that would be either Miriam or me in the program. And there are lots of other activities you can get involved in as well in the law school. The law school has many societies. Many of those societies now operate at least partially online. And so, for example, we've got a mediation society that some of our students were involved in this year. So you get to mediate with other students, and some of our students entered into online mediation competitions and competing on behalf of the school as well. So you get a chance to become part of the community as well, even if it's only virtual experiences that you have with us. The last thing I want to talk about just here are some of the assessment types as well in the course. And there's a wide range of different assessment types in this program. As you would expect, given that it is an LLM program, you'll be assessed by academic essays, but also other tools such as writing blogs, your participation on discussion boards. So students are weekly set questions to engage in discussions, and you're given a small credit for doing that on a weekly basis. There's obviously skills assessment in respect of the mediation skills class. For example, you can also be engaged in what's called a capstone project, a more practical application of your knowledge in a specific area, a specific industry area. You also give a group presentation as part of that assessment. And then, of course, there is this significant piece of work that all students in the master's program do at the end of their taught elements. So in year one, if you're full-time, by the time you come to the end of June, you'll have finished, hopefully, all your assessments, and you begin your dissertation, a 12,000 piece of work, drawing on some of the very interesting practical and academic topics that you've encountered in the classes that have come before. So I think that's all for this slide. If we go on now to talk about what's next and the application, how to apply, and the application timeline. So to apply, you need to apply to the university formally through its online application portal, and there's the web link there. I'll talk a little bit about some of the requirements and some of the paperwork that you might require as well in that sense. So usually anyone applying would have a 2:1 or equivalent degree, undergraduate degree. But of course, there may be others with alternative qualifications or equivalent practical experience in law or another professional field, and we can take that into account. And there's some flexibility on those requirements given students' particular circumstances. If students are applying, they require to either scan their passport or an equivalent piece of formal identification. You would normally need a transcript of your degree grades, as well as the degree certificate itself, mapping out your qualifications, the same with any professional or other qualifications that you're using to support your application. If students do not have English as a first language, then they need to generally provide some evidence of competency for master's study in the English language. Usually that would be an IELTS or a similar qualification at 6.5 or equivalent. But again, there is some flexibility here. We can make exceptions in some cases for students who've got significant professional experience in English, for example, and you can contact me about that if you have a question around that. You would also require to have 2 referees who can attest to your academic, your professional background. And that's pretty much what you'll need to apply for the course formally. So the closing date for applying for the course is the 31st of August of this year. And we would obviously encourage you to apply earlier than that. And certainly you will need to if you want to apply for one of the scholarships. So as Alda said before, there are 7 scholarships, 2 at £4,000, the named David Rishbell scholarships, and 5 other £2,000 scholarships. And these are competitively granted. And to apply for a scholarship, you submit a statement, a 500-word statement, outlining your motivation to study and how you think it might enhance your career. And on the 30th of June, my colleagues and myself will sit down and review all the applications. And based on academic merit, the quality of your overall application, and the statement that you give, we will decide where to offer the scholarships. But as Alad said, you must first have applied to the programme before the university can consider you to grant one of those scholarships. So hopefully that's clear, but I'm happy to answer questions about that later on. And the deadline for the scholarships is the 30th of June of this year. So yeah, shortly, I guess.
That's excellent. Thank you, Bryan. Well, I think that's covered the first part of the session. And I guess now we'd like to bring in some of the current students. Is that right, Bryan?
Yeah, that's right. So there are, I think, I can't see everyone, but I think there are 3 of my current students who've been kind enough to come along today and talk about their experiences briefly with you. And once we've heard from them, we'll then open it to questions to any of us here today, including the students that some of you may have. So the students that we have today are Angelos, Laricel, and Kelvin. So I might just ask all of you the same 3 questions to think about and to give a very brief answer for us. We're already running over time, as we always do in these events. So I will ask, I'll ask Angelos, we'll do it in alphabetical order, to talk first, if that's okay. And the three things are, Angelos, your motivations for joining the program, your experience thus far of online learning and being part of this community of learners, and also how you perceive the course may benefit your career or just professional life activities. So Angelos, are you quite happy to talk first?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, all. As Bryan said, my name is Angelos. So the first question was what motivated me to take the course. And the reason was that I wanted to widen and deepen my knowledge, also improve my negotiating tools and my understanding of mediation and alternative dispute resolutions. And this is something that I can say that this course offers generously. Now, remind me the second question, Bryan. Sorry.
Just how you've found your experienced online learning as part of the program here.
The experience has been great. I actually got more than I bargained for. So what has been very important for me is that apart from acquiring new knowledge, deepening my knowledge, this program also offers you the opportunity to widen, to improve your self-awareness. Because in your effort to be able to understand people and see their perspectives, you first have to get to know yourself. So there were quite a few surprises in there for me, and I'm glad for that. So regarding the third question was about my career.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Having crossed
about your own professional experience, Angelos, that'd be useful to give a context for this.
Absolutely, absolutely. For the past over 20 years, I'm the head of the legal department of a ship management company based in Greece. So I'm just a humble in-house legal consultant. So regarding what I expect this program to offer me in the future is, having crossed my 50th year, I would like to have new alternatives, probably work as mediator, or even become a better negotiator. I now realize I'm not even good negotiator, so I just hope I'll become better negotiator. But above all, my gain out of this program is self-awareness, which is a great tool to improve yourself 360 degrees. Thank you all.
Oh, thank you so much, Angelos. That's great. Thank you. I'll ask Kelvin next. Kelvin, can you say a bit about, just say, let us know what your background is and say a bit about your experiences. Thanks.
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is Kelvin. It's early in Melbourne now. It's quite early, 1:41 a.m. So excuse me if I am too confused about everything. I have not daydreaming about this. I have been very honored to be on this course alongside Angelos. He's one of our funniest classmates ever. He said he would like to improve his negotiation skills. We learn a lot from him. We love him so much, especially during the mock practices, mediation practices with him. He's so mean, and I like that because in order to have like a non-adversarial training, then you have to have someone who happens to show his real face. I mean, to show us how he helped us improve our skills. I mean, jokes aside, my background is in public health. I'm a public health specialist. And the reason why I joined this program was I got a chance to be accredited mediator. And then I found my skills wise would be one thing, the theoretical part is another. So that's why I got the mindset to be equipped in this aspect. And I found this Newcastle new program, first cohort. And obviously I talked to Bryan about it, and here I am, and never regrets it. So I think if you're into mediation, you would definitely have many chances to practice your skills and also join some competitions. You can ask Laricel in a minute, then you will know much more. And also about how it would impact my career. It would be like, obviously, I'm a public health academic, but I would like to change it into full-time mediation. And I would say this LLM could be a good stepping stone for me to get into it. And as Sabine also talked to you about the IMI accreditation, so that would give you one step ahead of everybody who would like to join this field. And I would say the practices we have, the accreditation that we got here, and the theoretical underpinnings of mediations would give us a very solid ground to move into mediation, and to make this world a more peaceful place. And that's how I am with. I'm super happy with it. With any questions that you might have, and obviously, last point about the online learning, you can see my case. I was from Hong Kong learning, and then currently I'm in Australia, and I'm still doing the online course. No matter how early, how late it is, that's life. We got many live sessions, so you would have to juggle it, obviously. But this is it. Really flexible, really up to your schedule, how busy you are. We all understand it. And the teachers like Miriam and Bryan would actually suit your schedules. That's perfect. I mean, and they're absolutely ready to take your questions. So that's us. Join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelvin. That's lovely. Thank you so much for those words. And last but not least, Laricel is on the call as well, I think.
Hi, Bryan. Hi, everyone. Yes, I am on the call. So I was trying to think back on what the questions were that I had. So I'm going to try and address those ones as we go along. Maybe they do address some of these questions, maybe they don't. So like August last year, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because I come from South Africa, I have a lot of South African degrees, and I thought I need to do something UK based. The question was, do I do SQEs? Do I do an LLM, or do I change course completely? And then this course came across my path, which I took as a sign to be like, well, maybe this is what I should be doing. But it's given me the opportunity to upskill and to build on the skills that I had. So I'm still building on it. It's really given me the opportunity to learn a lot. Then just in terms of study material, because I think that's where I had the biggest amount of questions when I entered into this program, what it would look like. I wish I had attended a session like this. The slides really do look like what you've seen today, and it does take about an hour, maybe a bit more, to work through each slide. My apologies.
She's come back. Good.
Sorry, guys, I adopted a dog and he hasn't learned to not bark yet. So anyway, back to the study material. So it really is, you can do it in your own time, anytime you want. It is also the practical sessions that you have with the mediation practice session. It's a small group, you get feedback, you learn a lot by observing other people, which to me helped me a lot. It moved me out of my uncomfortable zone, because I was a bit scared in the beginning to talk in front of the group, but you do learn to find your feet. There is the Mediation Society as well that you can join. I think Bryan's touched on that. And then there's also competitions. There's a number of those. Also, the faculty go out of their way to assist and to help and prepare you for these competitions. So it's really worthwhile. And you also get to see with the competitions how you do things, how other people do things. You get to practice your skills. So it's really worthwhile to go that extra length. Then the benefits, I think, for me has been, I thought they would come once I completed my course. I've learned to negotiate better, which is not something I did previously. I used to run away from any form of conflict. But I've learned what conflict is and that it's normal, and there are different ways to deal with conflict. So currently I've actually been moved into a position at work where I now negotiate on a daily basis, and I amend contracts and renegotiate contracts. So it's not something that has only come at the end. And I think if you told me 12 months ago this is what I would be doing, I told you you'd be completely crazy. So yes.
Well, thank you very much, Laricel. That's great. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you students, the current students, for contributing today. It's great for prospective students to hear about your experiences, and that's fantastic. So I think now we're just going to move to questions. I think, Alid, you were going to curate some of the questions from the chat and just work through some of those, and we can answer those best we can.
That's right. Thank you, Bryan. Well, we've had a question around restrictions around age. I don't think there are any restrictions, but I guess if you were about 7 years old, that might be a challenge. But no age restrictions, Bryan.
No, there are no age restrictions. I mean, obviously, it's a postgraduate course, so normally somebody would have a first degree, although some students, with significant professional experience could perhaps be exempt from that. But although most of the students today that we spoke to have had some professional practical experience in related fields, we also have students in the programme who are straight from university coming in as graduate students, and absolutely this program is suitable both for graduate students as well as more mature professionals with experience. And some of those graduate students will be better at some aspects. They will have done essay writing, for example, just be used to that, and have studied law recently, and they may struggle initially to a greater extent with some of the practical aspects and negotiating with people with more experience. But it's all a great learning experience. But absolutely, there's no age rules at all. It's about having the requisite qualifications and experience.
Yeah, super. Thanks. A couple of questions around exemptions with if you've got prior mediation experience. One, who is already IMI qualified, are there any course exemptions, advanced standing? And if you've got prior mediation qualifications from your home country, can you tender that to apply for an exemption?
Yeah, I mean, I think in short, there are no exemptions in the program, and that's because the master's program, to get your master's qualification, you need to gain a certain number of credits. It's 180 credits, and all students need to take that. But in terms of exemptions, well, if you're already IMI accredited, you don't need to do the extra IMI assessments. One thing that we say to students when they come into the course is that if you want to be accredited by IMI, and I think everybody this year has gone down that route, you need to do an additional in-person assessment and film that and send it in. And you also do two online mediation assessments for IMI purposes, but only one counts for your internal grades in the course. So you don't need to do all the assessments if you don't want IMI accreditation, but you would still do all the modules which are offered in the class. And I think even experienced mediators, I mean, I'm speaking to one who's in the course who's not here today, and he's done quite a lot of mediation, but he was saying that being involved in this course, particularly the sort of marrowing of theory and practice, has allowed him for the first time in quite some time to really reflect on his practice, which had become pretty automatic. And it's really interesting seeing people with some real experience and less experienced mediators practicing together, and equally those from different jurisdictions with different professional norms as part of their practice, bringing that to bear in the live sessions. So you can be exempt from some assessments, but not from the modules themselves.
Excellent, super, thank you. Question about the IELTS requirements. When somebody is already attending English-speaking school and country, can you say a little bit more about that, Bryan?
Yeah. So the university would normally require an IELTS qualification or equivalent, but students who've already studied a program, an undergraduate program, let's say a degree program in English already can be exempt from the requirement to sit IELTS. There are some time limits around that in terms of how far back the university would go, but there is some flexibility. I was able to get some flexibility in some of these rules this year on a case-by-case basis. And I think the best thing to do is, if you have a detailed question about this, is contact me afterwards and I can make inquiries on your behalf. But certainly, if students have undertaken an undergraduate program in English, at least I know within the last 3 years, that would allow them to be exempt from those requirements. And there may be more flexibility I can get, depending on your circumstances, around those requirements.
Thanks, Bryan. Just a question on scholarships. Somebody asking if they complete the application, get accepted, then get awarded in a scholarship, but then decides not to go through with the application. I guess, what's the process there?
Yeah, I think, and that will happen from time to time, clearly, where students are granted scholarships, but for different reasons are unable to take on the programme. Effectively, if that were to happen, obviously the way the scholarship works is that we don't send you the money. It's rather apportioned against the fees that you would otherwise pay. And so all that happens is if you decide not to take place, the scholarship is withdrawn, and we would probably then allocate that to a reserve list that we already have when the scholarships are first awarded. So there's nothing that you need to do about that if you're the student in that position. There are no difficulties if that does occur.
Super, thanks.
Sorry, can I just butt in there for a minute? I think that particular question was also if the student isn't awarded a scholarship and therefore presumably due to financial reasons can't take up the place, can they refuse? Can they withdraw their application effectively?
Yeah, absolutely. And the students can withdraw their application before they begin. Absolutely. They can accept a place, but then ultimately have to turn that down. So even if you do firmly accept, there may, of course, be circumstances in which you simply cannot continue to take on the place. And yeah, absolutely, students are able to do that. There's no difficulty with that.
Thanks, Serena. Teamwork makes the dream work. Lastly, we've got a question around the study visa. Considering it's an online course, does it entitle a student to post-study work visa? First part of the question. Second part of the question is, what kind of study materials does one have access to? For example, remote access to the library.
Yeah, so if I can deal with the second part first, there's a significant online library here at Newcastle. The vast majority of our resources are now available online through online databases. So cases, legislation, articles, books, edited collections, a whole raft of materials in all different disciplines. And all students, whether they're here in person or online, have access to that. And we will refer you to significant readings as you proceed through the course. So yeah, absolutely, you've got access to all that. My understanding is that because it is an online course, students are not entitled to a post-study work visa when they undertake the program, because they're not here at that time. There was some deviation on those rules for COVID, because of COVID disruption and students moving online, but those don't, to my knowledge, apply to specifically online programs.
Okay, super, thanks. And what's is there an application fee?
I do not believe so, but some of the current students may disabuse me of that notion perhaps, but I don't think there is a standing application fee. I think you can apply without paying any money at that stage.
Okay, super, thank you. And anyone that joined late, yes, it's a fully online program, so not in person. Okay, well, I think that concludes the session. 3 minutes short of the hour. If anyone has any other questions, do feel free to email Bryan. I'll pop your email address in the chat, Bryan.
Okay. I can just do it, Alan. I'm writing it already.
Okay. All right.
There you go. So everyone should have that now.
Yeah.
Just get in touch, please. That's no problem.
And again, if you arrived late and missed the announcement on the scholarships, There are 7 scholarships. The largest one is £4,000. So that's a contribution towards your fee. So there aren't full scholarships available.
Yeah, so for me as well, thank you everyone for your attention. I hope we've answered your questions. If you have anything else, email Bryan, or you can connect with myself or Aled on LinkedIn as well if you've any specific questions in relation to the online learning or anything like that. And it's been very nice seeing you all.
It's been fantastic, and I want to say a huge thanks to Kelvin, Marcel, and Angelos. Really grateful for your coming on. Kelvin, go back to bed now.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Great to see all of you here today, and please just get in touch with further questions. And I hope to see some of you in the course in September. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
See ya.
Thank you, Bryan. Thank you all.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We appreciated this introductory lecture.
Thank you.
God willing, we shall apply and
Brilliant.
hope to get that particular scholarship.
Okay.
Why? Because to me personally, this course will boost and enhance to my career. Why? Because I am a local registered mediator here in Nigeria.
Ah, right. Okay. Fantastic.
Yes, so with this course, if I'm opportunity to get the scholarship, it will ease my study.
Yes, of
So
course.
I hope to meeting you online during the course. Thank you very much.
Well, I look forward to hearing it, to getting your application in. That'd be fantastic.
Well, hi, Bryan.
Hello.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation. You know, the 5,000, is it 5,000 words or 500 words?
500. Yeah.
It's 500. Okay. Now, the closing date of the application is, I believe she said the 31st of August.
Yeah, that's for applying for the program. Yeah.
And then the scholarship is 30th of June.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan, I would have thought it should be the other way around.
Well, let me just give you the information about that. So effectively, we need to decide on scholarship allocation a bit earlier on. So that's why we encourage people to apply for the program. So all you need to do is apply for the program formally. It doesn't mean that you're committed to accepting it. You're just making an application. You can, of course, turn it down or whatever it may be. But the university will only offer scholarships to people that have applied for a place in a program. That's just the way that the university system here works. So you've still got plenty of time to get the application for the program in, but you don't have to accept it. And obviously your acceptance might be based on whether or not you got a scholarship. Clearly, I understand that.
Bryan, I just wanted to say that you may consider increasing the numbers of scholarship granted, maybe for future opportunities. As you can see, a lot of interest in this, and then we cannot underestimate the importance of mediation. And already you are doing a lot. We are aware of the different discounts you have for different places, but it would be good if going forward you can consider increasing the number of slots just to make the world a more peaceful place. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and certainly it's something that we've been striving to do with Mediator Academy and striving to get the university to be more flexible in scholarships. So it's something we're always looking to address, and I absolutely appreciate the point you're making there. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much, Bryan.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think I'll wrap up the session now. Lovely to see all of you, and I hope to speak to some of you soon. Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye then. Bye.